attacked by what appears to be essentially
radio signal from another world. Sir?
This man is not a hero, he's a criminal. Shut up!
Good evening, sirs and madams. It's your buddy Admiral Teague. It's good to see everybody. We're here for the penultimate episode of season 2. It was called Tragedy in Flies or something weird. No, it was called something else. I have it written down somewhere else. It was called, I'll tell you in a minute. But welcome to the show. We'll have a review in a moment. I've watched the episode twice. It was pretty good. I have no real problems with this episode 9. I would say that it did cast doubt on the fact that whether or not this season will have its own story at all in any episodic, like, meaningful way at all, or if it's simply a bridge to season 3, and whether or not we saw any arcing of characters. It is going to be an interesting conversation as we pull into this, get ready for the second to last episode. So for those of you who come through later, please help us out by hitting the like. Every like counts. Once we hit about 30 likes, a really great thing happens. We get a little bit of an algorithmic boost from YouTube. So it's always kind of a goal that I ask people to help me out to get to about 30 likes. But the thing is, if we get there, don't stop. Pile them on and ask me your LANDMAN comments and questions. I'll answer every single one of them. We love your questions. And with that, I'll just get a general overview before I really get going on this one and we give you the plot synopsis. Resolute Germ, we've been watching this show for 2 years now. This is the 19th episode. What do you think today? Going into at the end of episode 19 of 20 and 11 more to go.
Yeah, is Plans, Tears, and Sirens, which was the title of the episode. And
which makes sense. We got all 3.
Yeah. Well, we're finally getting some action for those of you who are missing action. We have big developments with Tommy, with Cooper, and we finally get that oil rig out.
You might be sick of intrigue, but we have a little more of that, but we don't go crazy with the intrigue this week. And there might have even been like a lot of redeeming parts to this episode. It's not going to bail out the whole season grade or affect anything that differently, but I'll go down next to Crimwan. What did you, before we get into the episode synopsis, without giving it a grade, how'd you feel about episode 19 of 30?
It started off pretty good. It just felt like they just spliced in 3 different episodes. Not quite sure how I feel about it right now. I think I'm
going to agree with you on that one. However, like, aside from the lack of continuity in some people's hair and stuff like that, which I noticed, the 3 episodes they spliced together felt like they were like made with the idea that they might have to be. especially after 19. This is the guy who made 1923. He's got to be like, I don't want to wreck up on the runway a little bit this time. I want to have a smoother landing. I've got 10 more episodes. I don't want to like write a lot more story. What can I do?
Yeah, but yeah, let's not give a reason for Kremlin to get angry with one of the female characters again.
Well, we'll find out who the Alex of this show is soon. But Radioactive, my friend, it's good to see you, sir. Radio is still muted. Radio, are you able to communicate?
Hey, old buddy Hepburn.
Okay, radio's calms down for the moment. We see. Okay. Let's see what's going on in the comments. We've got Buddy Hepburn, and look, it's Rocco the Brave. Hail to Rocco. We talked a little bit today. It's good to see you popping up again. Say hi to, he's not Ensign Rusher. He's Obi-2 Wrath of Kenobi for me. And you guys, I heard Matt, which was cool. That's really nice. I love that members of our community meet in real life. Although, to be fair, we're just, you guys are inherited members of the Appion community. And we cherish those people. Yeah, Appion, we wish he had a channel still. What are you going to do? And we wish him luck. But let's with no further ado, welcome you all here. I don't know if Radio has comms yet. Radio, do you have any thoughts on this one? Give it a second here. All right.
He's getting closer.
He'll be with us when he gets with us. But we have full episode on tap for you. This one starts out, yay. This is the most bland thing about any Paramount show is their original, their new TV only logo. The Paramount logo is kind of cool and celebratory. So we get a recap. That's a good recap. I'll give it that. As recaps go, this recap is comprehensive enough. And the episode actually starts with us seeing these people getting this golf course ready for what we'll find out later is going to be like sort of a like a little cocktail party to celebrate. Is it called an oil derrick at that point? Whatever, they're going to sink into the what we keep calling their shallow water horizon, because it's allegedly not that far out in the Gulf and not that risky as these things go. Financially, it could go up tomorrow, but they've already had the thing get wrecked once, and apparently nobody died.
It's $400 million. It doesn't matter how close it is or how sure it is, it's risky.
They've already run up like $4 to $8 million just in debt service on this one. Yeah.
$400 million. You sure wish someone would have.
Yeah. And you know what? They're all, and already like the episode is a little bit better when we get this conversation with Sam Elliott and Billy Bob, where Billy Bob's like, your therapist is actually an exotic dancer. Don't let her try to make you do any crazy dance moves. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Well, bah, Dad. And then like we get like the first of several hot women just prancing through our episode. Ainsley is off to school. She's going to go to TCU Advanced Cheerleader Training Camp, where she could be a Wolverine in case we get invaded by the Ruskins. And Tommy goes to start his day. And for the first time ever in about an appropriate amount of time, we get our credit sequence, which is brief and ends with Charlie, who's getting ready to leave his place because he's in charge of this shallow water horizon offshore drilling rig. And he's going to see what he can do to, and yeah, Rocco, I think this one, it wasn't as herky and jerky as the final Mission Impossible movie, but it is pieced. This one does seem to be pieced together. Although at the end, we'll talk about whether they made whole episodes for the last few episodes or if it was pieced together by design. I have a feeling that after 1923, he was ready to re-edit things if necessary, because pacing has been a consistent problem on his TV. So this is what I consider another damage control conversation. She's nice to Charlie, and she tells him she doesn't want their time together to be over. And they have like a moment where like they like are almost normal and almost seem like they're freaking in love. And her and Wolverine are going to work this out. It looks like, although and then they say a couple of snarky things back and forth, but whatever. There's something going on. She said, you were right about like I would be lonely
tonight.
Well, it's another song. It's a Stone song. She's basically quoting "She's So Cold." She's like, you're right that I'm beautiful right now, but like if I don't, look for love at all, like I will be lonely. And you know what? I realized I'm actually lonely in this moment. And he's like, all right, like maybe this could work. So they have like a normal damage control conversation. Now over to Ariana and Cooper. They're doing Ariana and Cooper stuff. He's getting ready for his morning. She's getting ready for her day at the patch. Demi Moore is driving around with her presidential protection in her high-end neighborhood. We see Andy Garcia's life. More importantly, we see Andy Garcia's very hot wife. We are now like a quarter of the way into the episode, so I'll just ask my panel. And in this segue here, in this moment here, this final scene before we go to my panel, he's just saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be out in the heat today," and he's going to this party where they're going to show that they're bringing the oil derrick out to sea. The next scene is Billy Bob flying into town. But guys, what did you think of our first first act before the credit sequence and our opening vignette here with Charlie and Rebecca? Let's start with you.
I thought it was oddly placed to be that early in the episode. I figured that would fit more maybe the second to last scene. Because the way I figure it, the big thing that happens with Tommy at the end, that was the end of the episode originally.
It also, I think it also explains the whole episode feeling like a funeral.
There was a weird feeling to the episode for sure, but like it moved forward. And hello, Lombardi. It's nice to see you, my friend. Okay, radio, do you have comms? We'll wait for the private chat on that one. Okay, I appreciate radio coming here, though, trying to work it out. And Scott, I know the level of frustration he's dealing with. Oh, there's a private chat. He's almost there. All right, so that's our first act. It's fairly straightforward. It's not as convoluted. There's not a lot of really heavy conversations going on like we had. The pace has stayed at the new normal. This plane ride is Cammy and Tommy and Dale. It's all the MTEX people. Then there's a couple of randos because I don't think they have their own corporate plane anymore, but they do have nice snacks on the plane. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah, this is a corporate plane.
It's not their corporation's plane. It's a corporate charter. It's a charter corporation. They gave up their planes in episode 3. So he said, I think because he says they're paying $10,000 a minute to be on the plane. But he also says it's $10,000 for an hour's piece, and he kind of likes it. So there's like a you get what you pay for kind of thing in here. And he is very comfortable in this. This is his lifestyle. Then we get to TCU, where Ainsley's ready to take up residence in the dorm. And we see, of all people, Angela being very human and very weak and having a little bit of a motherly breakdown and showing it's in a kooky way, but some positive motherly emotions here. This is the most face turn thing we've seen Angela do. By the way, this episode will be an ongoing face turn for Angela, in my opinion. So I'll pass it over to the crib on first this time. What did you think, without getting into the details yet, because we'll unfold them? Do you think that they're trying to redeem Ainsley and Angela a bit, especially in this episode?
It sure feels like it. I
They
think
gave her the right enemy, didn't they?
Well, yeah. They gave her the right
She
enemy.
doesn't jump out. She doesn't jump out as an enemy either. She's just like, I got to get away from this person. She does not become adversarial. She's mature about it.
She went in and tried to be nice the whole time, and the woman just, sorry, the they them was.
No, it's a woman, because the show is consistent. The guidance counselor who talks about them calls her she, and the character uses she. They drop the they them thing just out of nowhere. It's in and out of the narrative. It's not consistent in the narrative. So I don't understand what the show's disposition is on. They do. And I don't. Radio's almost got Cobb, so we'll get his reaction on this in a moment.
The they thems?
Yes.
What do you think this is? Before we get to that, just guys, we have a shocking confrontation where Ainsley is going to be the hero in most ways. And so, Radio, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. What did you think of tonight's episode? What was your, before you give it a grade, without giving it a grade, what was your feeling about watching tonight's episode?
I enjoyed it. Had an interesting ending, but we'll get to that.
A little better than some of the other ones that we've got the last few. Honestly, it was a little bit better than the last few. Although this new normal is not the A+ territory of any Taylor Sheridan season 1. We're setting Ainsley up to have her first kind of like adult experience, and it's framed that way. And I think it's kind of appropriate. But also, since episode 2 was where the show caught criticism for the female characters being too mean, the show has done like a real about face on the female characters and has humanized all of them while leaving most male characters pretty mean. The only nice people in this show were Dale and Ariana. Ariana got worse. Dale stayed the same. Nathan/Neil became a dick. And Rebecca is like backing away from being the most horrible person in the world like she was when we first met her. She's had fun a couple of times. Although people are expressing some trepidation about the whole campus storyline, I don't know how much we'll have to worry about it because the campus storyline is sort of self-contained and self-sealing. But Ainsley is going to take up residence in the dorm, and Angela is overwhelmed, and she starts crying, my baby. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. And here's Ainsley. She walks in. She's excited. She's happy. This reminds me of my first day in college. I don't know how many other people went away to school, but even if you went to community college, you go there like for the first week. It's kind of decorated up a little bit. It's themed in a welcoming way. They want you to be happy there. They want you to feel welcome there. It's like it's kind of just standard. It's your first week of school, and this is not even school yet. This is advanced camp for the elite cheerleaders, and I guess this medical student is there early because they're taking even more classes. The other person's on a much more rigorous class of study than Ainsley. It was a strange matchup in roommates, but she sees the well-themed hallway, the happy people. She opens up her dorm room. It's kind of pretty. She's happy to be there. And then she meets Pagan. Pagan is an asshole. Pagan is never happy. I don't think Pagan says hello back. Pagan then goes off on a list of demands, including pronoun demands that they then back off of. The pronoun things is just sort of thrown down there, and I think it was supposed to speak to the confrontational nature of this character. This new character that I don't know we get back in this show at all. This character might be a one and done, but I think there will be an appetite to see this character again because they're a real asshole. But I will throw it to the most vitriolic person I know when it comes to people like this. I'm going to go to Radioactive and say, what did you think of Pagan? But by the way, guys, it means country dweller.
Agent Teague.
I said it wrong on purpose.
Got to get it right.
This person was an asshole. Jerm, what did you think of our designate? This person was fair gamed as an asshole by the show. And anybody who could watch this show and think this character wasn't an asshole, there's something wrong with you. And by the way, I thought this actor did a great job of being an asshole. They were perfect. Just the flat affect, the tuned out thing. This person was like on some kind of spectrum. They're on some kind of spectrum.
Definitely on the spectrum.
Full spectrum.
Definitely on the full spectrum.
Whether it be infrared, ultraviolet, or whatever. Like, we're not making any judgments. This is a criticism show about TV. But this person was a dick, and like what they just throw down a list of demands. Ainsley, who is socially awkward when challenged at all and tries to get by on being a pretty face. Well, this chick does like female incel or something. No desires of any kind that we can see except to play with her ferret. This person does so many weird things in the few minutes that they're on screen. They're antagonistic. They're militant. They are like, they don't state any causes, but they've got like preferential pronouns. They don't want any meat in the room. They're a vegan. They've got everything but the septum ring. This is your classic overcompensating, sort of wealthy college kid who is misbehaving somewhat badly, in my opinion. And they're actually, I don't know if you want to call it maybe a little psychological tantrum of their own, if they're having separation anxiety, but Pagan is from the land of the ice and snow, Minnesota. And Ainsley tries to make small talk. It's like, oh, wow, is it a Viking name? It's like, it's Latin. And she's like, oh, well, I just, because of the football team. She's like, I wouldn't care about football. I'm a sports therapist. And like, okay, whatever. They're a mismatch. But then the person keeps going on and hectoring and just like laying down the middle. Like they had the same rules as the Taliban. You eat what we say, no music, no laughing, no dancing, and designated hours of like meditation in a school dorm room that already has quiet hours and stuff like this. So I'll fully hand it off now to my panel, letting Gerb start with the encounter with Pagan, here with their ferret, unnamed in this episode, but appreciated for its performance. Sirs.
Yeah, the ferret did a very good job. As for Pagan, that's everything I've been dealing with since high school. You get out west here, that's all of them.
You could dance if you want to.
Yeah, it's nice to see people of that type accurately portrayed for once.
So you felt like this was someone that you've run into, kind of thing. By the way, I was like, why do they have co-ed dorms? Until Pagan gave away that until the counselor called Pagan she, I was like, what's the deal with the co-ed dorming?
I thought that too at first, because there's nothing there.
And Pagan doesn't have like a deceptive dude voice. They have like the most, like I thought it was like perhaps a gay man. But okay, Crimon, it's your turn. How did you enjoy this character?
I think
she really isn't mad at you, dude.
Well, there's a reason why they had her playing with her ferrets. It's a euphemism.
Was it the same kind of euphemism that it would be if she had a bunch of U-Haul like gift certificates on the coffee table or something?
Yes, and the septum ring is a ring elsewhere.
It's implied.
Yeah, it's implied for elsewhere.
Oh, come on. Radioactive. What did you think? She's really not mad at you, dude.
Well, I agree with Germ. I think the ferret put in a great performance here.
The ferret was absolutely aces. The ferret was great.
Never seen.
Here's my thinking. Here's my thinking, and this is more of a production note thing. I'm thinking that if we saw the director's commentary, they'd be going, "Okay, this is where BlackRock wanted us to put some woke stuff into the show. We had to meet contractually our obligations, so this is how we did it."
That is brilliant. So your explanation is trolled their own sponsors?
Yep. That's what I think they did. It's like,
that's
we're
fun
totally on
and
board.
satisfying theory. I mean, we don't know, but yeah, I mean, I like that. Here was my theory. I guess I'll state it now. My theory was this. This is Taylor Sheridan took another swipe at The View earlier. There was a swipe at ABC. Everybody was in play to have Taylor Sheridan work for them except ABC and Disney. I think that he personally, hey, John, welcome to the show. I think Taylor Sheridan, for all his flaws, he will not work and does not want to work for Disney. And I think that he deeply objects to their kind of like,
don't blame him.
He objects to their ethos. He objects to their company mission. He objects to their wokeness. And he's made a lot of anti-woke statements in this show. Now, do they make up for the lack of events in this season? I don't know about that, but this sequence where Pagan is a fucking asshole with the same rules as the Taliban.
Well, remember, Pagan is a minority, though.
Taliban.
Redhead.
She's a ginger redhead?
Yeah.
With blue eyes. Yes, the smallest minority in the world. I thought that was a nice touch by Sheridan as well. And it's nice to see everybody. So Ainsley, as you can see, she's still trying. And she's trying to come to terms with this ferret. She's never seen one before. And like Ainsley is sheltered. But that's when Germ brought up something interesting. Like, why would Pagan ever want to go to Texas Christian university? Didn't
Yeah.
this school have like a dress code and dating code until like the 80s?
That's a good
Early
question.
2000s.
I wouldn't think it's any different than BYU.
Let's just say they rejected me in the early 2000s for similar reasons.
What? Because you weren't woke, or because you liked petrochemicals?
Like in around the 2002-2003 era, they had similar rules to BYU about face-based attendance.
Yeah, it's just BYU's the same right now. I don't think that's ever going to change.
Do you have to be Mormon to go there?
And it's owned by the Mormon Church.
No, you don't
But
have.
that-
You don't have to be.
Unless you're a
Mormon.
fucking football player, I don't think you have
You
to be
just-
a Mormon.
You just have to
No.
follow the religious rules, basically. I don't
Yeah,
think
like
it's any different than
they have
TCU.
they have a code.
It's like
of
Oral
conduct.
Roberts, right?
It's
They
a
have
code
a-
of
No,
conduct.
no skirts
Yeah.
above the knee and stuff like that.
Correct. It's just a code of conduct.
But is the school a mismatch for the character? Is just a
I
quick
would
question.
think so.
Well, it's gotten a little more liberal in the last decade or so. Right around the time they started doing real well in football again.
It's like a plague.
They
of
do have a sports medicine intern, which indicates that they would have a healthy sports program as well. You have to have teams when you do stuff like this, and like this is a good collateral. Like honestly, like Pagan is probably fairly smart and probably has it good in her major, but like ending up with Ainsley is like. This is the thing about Pagan. Let's see if we can get Pagan back on camera. Pagan has a huge problem with Ainsley in every single way. And hello to everyone. We see the view count ticked up a little so high. Welcome to our show. We're about 35% of the way through this week's LANDMAN plot synopsis, and then we're going to give our grades, and then we're going to predict some stuff. But this
Pagan
is
looks
what
like a dude I went into basic training with.
Pagan looks like Tintin. But as far as Pagan, this is my feeling. Pagan had problems with Ainsley, even though Ainsley tried to be nice. Ainsley is not that knowledgeable, not that smart, but she is basically at her core since the middle of this season when they made this decision to get them away from the old folks home quite as much. And hey, no one missed that in this episode. But this is the feeling you get from Pagan. If someone exactly like Pagan had walked into that room with the exact same beliefs, and the only difference was I meditate from 12 to 1, oh no, I meditate from 12:01 to 1:01, there would have been the same amount of problems, and both people would be at the residence hall demanding a room change. So if there is no one in this world who's going to be able to be roommates with Pagan, am I right?
I would. I mean, just to be annoying. I digest from 1 to 2. I pass gas from 3 to 4. I could play these same games.
Like put a big screen TV up on the wall and cast Prawn Hub to it all day just to annoy them. Well, no meat-based
I
snacks.
identify as a Muslim from 5 to 6.
Then my pronouns change in the evenings on Tuesdays. So Ainsley gives it the old college try, and then she tries to tell like a colorful story about dating. And she opens up her bag of makeup, which draws like a shock from Pagan, like the least feminine woman in the world and the most feminine woman in the world, and maybe possibly both to a fault. I don't know if Taylor Sheridan's trying to say something here, but nothing is working.
I almost thought, Teague, when she brought up the petrochemicals, I thought maybe they were going to go down the path of, hey, my dad's in the petrochemical business.
I thought so too. Yeah. One of the lines in this episode, in this sequence that I thought was funny, and I don't know what the rest of you thought, but Ainsley's like, that rat thing smells real horrible. How about I spray some air freshener? She's like, petrochemicals to go up my nose? I don't think so. So this woman had an opinion on absolutely freaking everything, to the point where she starts getting angry. There's a microaggression that she perceives from Ainsley. And there's Michelle Randolph, at least looking gorgeous. And she does not become aggressive. She's progressively more freaked out. She becomes resigned to, as she's about to open her suitcase, the conversation continues to deteriorate. And rather than unpack it, she slaps it shut and tries to shove it under her bed. Can't get it under there, just leaves the room in frustration. And that's when we step away to get with Cooper and Boss and the rest of this crew that used to be Teague's crew.
You know, Ainsley was showing two very decently sized microaggressions the entire time. That's what caused the problem.
Were those microaggressions, or were those more like regular size aggressions?
Macro?
Those were pretty big aggressions. She was fairly aggressive. Let's just say that. As aggression goes,
there's an aggression right there.
There's a progression to aggression. But anyway, so Ainsley, like, this is the thing I thought was cool about this. The show did come under a lot of woke criticism. We may have lost the middle of our season and a lot of cohesiveness because of this. I almost felt like this was the writers and Taylor Sheridan clapping back at the people who criticized him for the female characters being too mean when they were on par with every male character, and for the show, not being like woke enough. I think he was just like, you know what? You want to see woke? I'll show you woke. In this episode, we tear into the View again, and then we get this horrible character that just. They get the troll treatment, but Taylor Sheridan has Ainsley take the high ground. She doesn't curse them out like we might have wanted. She doesn't do anything nuts. And we step away to do Cooper's story. Cooper re-explains his theory about drilling in a scene that's only just so necessary, but he has to show that he's in control of this crew. And they're like, they don't say this, but like the deal is they've played with the time frame. We didn't see every single thing that happened. He's got like a week's worth of experience in the field, like 3 days on truck one and 2 days on their truck. Both trucks have terrible problems and horrible accidents. He goes from number 4 man on the truck to number 1 guy on site for the whole operation. Here they find an older oil well. It looks like it's from the 40s. I don't know, though, right? And it's like, this is still producing 5 barrels a day, and we don't have to do nothing. And they're like, well, it might not be the best place to drill. Let's check with Dale. And Cooper's like, F no. I said drill here, and we're going to drill here. And they're like, but we should really talk to Dale. And Cooper explains his reasoning. And they're like, well, do you got seismology to back that up? Can we see the science? And at that point, Cooper turns Captain Kirk on him, and he's like, listen, mister, when I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. This is not a democracy. I say we drill here. And you're not going to call the boss and second guess my commands. When I give it order, I expect to be followed. And it made sense in context, but there's some things happening later that make me wonder why we did it. It was an okay scene. Any thoughts on the conversation at the oil field for the expansion of existing wells? Only way to put it.
Well, you forgot the section where he casually mentioned that he found 6 drilling sites already.
That was heavily involved in the last 3 episodes. He has gone 6 for 6 on oil strikes on this speculated money, and it's nice to see so many people here. Hit the like and follow button and turn on the notifications. We love you all. We're like down about the halfway point. Okay, Kremlin, go ahead with your thoughts on this sequence.
Honestly, I don't know how to feel about this section. I kind of feel like they just threw it in there.
It felt like meaningful filler. Like it was okay. They might be able to do something with it, but they're not married to what they say. And just this is a day in the life of Cooper, and he has to put his foot down because he's got 5 days of practical experience. Him being LANDMAN instead of Tommy is a little ridiculous. Germ, what did you think of this sequence?
I agree it was filler, but it is necessary filler. They have to advance that story at some point. They might as well just put it here.
They didn't show, but they showed us a little. It wasn't terrible. Besides, we haven't been out in the field doing things with oil since we had the H2S leak like 4 episodes ago. So we needed to get back to what the show's about, in my opinion. But let's ask Radioactive. Radioactive, you're looking to bridge us to renewable energy from this terrible petrochemical scourge. Tell us what you thought about the conversation at the oil well.
Sir, you're so correct, sir. We just need to have that super green energy everywhere. It's so green.
We're working on a soy reactor right now, sir.
Exactly.
We talking about Soylent Greens?
Yes, exactly.
People.
Soylent Green
you
energy.
pay extra for it to be people.
That's right.
I get vegan Soylent Green.
I thought this scene was a little awkward, but like Germ said, they had to get back to his character doing his actual job at some point. But I'm wondering if they're not setting this up for maybe some headbutting between Boss and him on how things work.
I think it's, well, of course, call me self-important, but I think it's setting up the heroic return of Teague. He's like, one eye works, and I'm here to fix this operation and get us back on schedule. And he's just got like the power of Thor, and he's just going to be awesome. But yeah, it looks like what's really going to happen is this well is either going to work out or it isn't. But this contributes to my overall feeling of not all of the final episodes were filmed. This was filmed knowing that they needed it and knowing they could use it. And it was never going to be a problem because it's not connected directly to anything else except the idea that we want to get oil out of the ground. We could have put this in at any point after MTEX takes control of his interest in episode 3. So we could have put this in at any point. This was filmed to be used when needed. There's a few when needed moments. The thing is, I think that they were conceived as such, and therefore they didn't feel quite like Legos snapping together in a real prefabricated way. I thought the conversation at the oil well was, they showed and they told and they showed and they told some more, but it added up. Anyone have any more thoughts on this before we move on? All right, so Cooper drives off. And we're back to TCU and Greta, who we met a couple episodes back, where Ainsley was a much different person even a week ago. Ainsley a week ago went to the TCU office where all she had to do was like say hi and say, yeah, I'm definitely showing up for school. And that was going to be the end of it. But she got nervous and spoke 100% of her mind. And it was all out of like a certain book from mid 20th century Germany. And she was a social Darwinist without knowing it. She had happened onto some really like kooky ideas, maybe from vacations at the Dude Ranch, God knows what. All her reasons for going to the school were a little bit from the moon. And this woman was absolutely deeply shocked by Ainsley. And in that context, she wasn't the best like guidance counselor at the school, but she was sufficiently offended by the way Ainsley acted that it could be excused. At this point, this character comes a little bit into conflict with their job, but I don't know if there's malevolence here. She goes to the right person. Ainsley goes, look, it's not going to work out with my roommate. And they're like, why not? And she's like, it's just our personalities. And she's like, please. And wow, this is a really beautiful moment for Rochelle Randolph. Am I right? Let's just leave this up here.
Showing off those macroaggressions again.
She was just really, honestly, nicely asking to be moved to a more compatible roommate. And I thought she was well within her means, and I thought she was actually nicer than we've ever seen this character try to be, considering that under pressure is usually where Ainsley shows her worst traits. So we'll start with Germ, the conversation with Greta about getting out of the dorm. And by the way, this ends with a decision by Ainsley that she's not going to deal with it. She's going to call Angelo and we're going to throw money at this problem. Fuck you. Which turns out to be the right thing to do, but sure, go ahead.
I saw nothing wrong with it. She's being perfectly reasonable. I have a lunatic roommate. Get me out of here. And then she basically calls her a baby for asking to get rid of the roommate.
They do a good job of making the way the conversation goes down sound like something that someone in an academic position might try to say the first few things she says to, but then she's a little too reluctant to help out. What is this? A $300,000 a year, like $150,000 per semester school, right? This is not a cheap school. This is Ivy League, or at least Ivy League price.
It is a very expensive school, and
they're going to give you customer service. Although challenging you, fine. What do you think?
It makes me suspect that she's the reason that she got that roommate in the first place.
I feel like the way she acted had her maybe they changed that, but like the way the woman acts and the way she gets out of the way and cooperates pretty quickly shows that either she backs off of that or it was just a coincidence. Because who is more different than Ainsley and Greta? Yeah. I mean, here's Ainsley. Here's Greta. I mean, It's night and day, folks. I know who I'd rather hang out with.
Oh,
Yeah, that
Greta
does
all
make
the
sense
way.
when
Come on.
Fuck you, Gribble. You hang out with Greta.
She seems like a blast.
I would still
Probably
think
is
it
a
was
blast
her.
after work. All right, you know what? It
Yeah.
could be her.
She just backs
so-
off when Tornado Mama comes in and makes everything.
Oh
the way
yeah,
they want it.
Angela's a force of nature. And by the way, you guys are going to love this. Anyone frustrated with the show? It's my opinion that the correction is that they're going to bash this pagan character as hard as they can to show them as everything that's wrong with America today. And I agreed with it 100%. It's like I said, it's not going to bail out this season from not delivering on its story, but this was like a clap back by Taylor Sheridan. I feel like his frustration coming through here, and this is the right fight and the right villain. And Greta's just kind of stuck in the middle here, and she tells Ainsley, you know what? I'm not here to mitigate fights between you and your roommate. And as Germ said right away, that's not true. It is your job, and it is. It is her job to mitigate this. And she says, be an adult like it says on your license, which is to a degree. I mean, if it had ended with come back in a couple of hours, if you still feel the same way, I would really like you to think it over. Then this person's off the hook. They weren't ethically like awful, but they didn't have a lot of empathy for Ainsley. Anyone else on the confrontation in the school? We'll leave Angela on screen because she's better to look at.
It's not just the roommate, Teague. They're making a social commentary about how colleges work too. That's the
There's
other
definitely that there. That is absolutely there. I
will add, it is sort of funny when after all that, Ainsley actually checks their license.
Yes, that is also
joke
true.
works.
Where's it say adult on here? I'm looking for it.
Yeah, she says it to Angela. I thought that this time they were funny together.
Oh, they could almost have their own comedy show at this point.
So this is what's funny is they could, if we just spun them off into their own independent comedy show with no other stakes, we would probably watch it. They are effective together. Ainsley is telling this woman there's no way she can make it work. There's just no way I can make it work. This person's too intolerant. And this Minnesotan, by the way, for context, I don't know if this is still true. Minnesota was the highest by capita, like gay city in America, right? Not Minnesota, the state, but Minneapolis, St. Paul, so parts of two states. When you considered that as one city had the highest per capita gay population in America, could it be because it's an airline hub? I don't know. But the bottom line is that was true in like the late 20th century. And I haven't for understandable reasons, don't re-verify that stat on a weekly basis. But like, she's just really intolerant. And the fact that something happened with intolerance and activism going too far in Minnesota this week, we'll leave it at that. To have this particular character show up this week, this was really good for the show. It was topical without being on the nose, and it couldn't be on the nose because it was weeks ago. This was filmed a few weeks ago, and the events happened days ago. There was no time to turn it around to reflect what's going on in Minnesota now. So the origin point of this antagonistic character, perfect. The situation, kind of perfect of what's going on today. And Taylor Sheridan seems to be saying, I'll do a lot of things. I'll try to make money. I'll put like Chris Pine in the movie because he can act, even though no one else will. But I won't work for Disney, and I'm not going to make a woke movie. I'm not going to kowtow to your political correctness. And he throws down the gauntlet throughout this episode. And the last thing Greta says is, try to, be an adult. And Ainsley's like, I'm calling my mom. And she stomps out. And Greta says, or, ignore my advice and act like you're 11, which is the right thing to do. You don't have to be more than a sixth grader to know exactly that Greta is wrong. Greta didn't bother doing the things that would have happened in a real school. They would have asked to talk to the other roommate. They would have probably at least called the dorm room and be like, hey, could you come by here for a couple of minutes? And be like, would you mind sitting here at the mitigation session? Like, colleges have like 3 levels of like mitigation for student disagreements ever since that woman carried that mattress around NYU for 2 years. So Ainsley calls her mom. Angela has an immediate visceral reaction. She's going to protect her daughter. Here's Ainsley looking at her license, trying to see where it says adult. It's by your date of birth, Ainsley. You're an adult.
She's going, all it says is 5 and up.
Do not take checks from this person. So Angela, like, rapid fire response from Angela. Ainsley goes back to her dorm room only because she has to. She doesn't want to deal with this person. This person's being loco. And because Ainsley turned on the light and then apologizes because they were meditating in the corner where Ainsley couldn't see them walking in, Ainsley's like, I'm sorry. And this bitch is just kind of like, you ruined it. Fuck you. And she's like, I got to leave. You're ruining my safe space. And she says it for the second time in the episode using that exact term. As Angela comes roaring up, she goes right into Greta's office, addresses her correctly, which means a lot coming from Angela. And I guess the reason here would be that this woman is getting a considerable amount of money from Angela's husband. So she respects that. This woman commands a high salary. So she's not going to yell at her too much if she cooperates. But she's also not going to be overly polite to her. She didn't treat her the way a drunk rich person treats the waitress. But she did, honestly, in this case, being justified considering the price of tuition and the nature of the dispute. She puts this woman in her place. Hail, Miskatonic. I didn't see you come in. Hello. Welcome to the show. We're about 55% of the way through tonight's episode. So, guys, what did you think, Angela versus Greta here? Stay out of my way. This is how it's going to be.
I was almost expecting a cat fight. Almost.
I thought it was genius how she handled Greta.
Yeah. Greta did not stand her ground at all. Greta was like, she realized that she had, listen, I'm going to be honest. Greta has a job that in real life is considered a political patronage job. It's like because Beto O'Rourke is her nephew. Okay. That's why Greta has a job at a college in Texas, helping people be better people with no real qualifications. And she fucked up this room assignment. Now she doesn't want to do 5 seconds worth of work. It's camp. Campus is in full. Just move her to another empty room in the same floor. Okay, it didn't work out. It's okay. For all you know, it's a cynical bid to have no roommate by the other chick. So she doesn't do any diligence. And Angela does that great crazy bitch face that we've seen so many times. But this time we're on her side. And I thought that this was a Taylor Sheridan doing a good job of showing us the same thing and having us feel differently about it. Last time she was this pissed off, she threw food, and we thought she was a fucking asshole. We were wondering where the show was going to go. Now the show seems a little more grounded than it has for a couple of episodes, and she's blowing a fit, but I was 100% behind this fit. Anyone else on this?
Oh, you treat my kid with that level of disrespect. She's a lot nicer than the way I would have been.
I have a quick personal story. I had a roommate that was so different from me that we couldn't live in the same room together, and they smelled really, really bad. And it was due to being from different origin, right? This is New York, but not everybody can be friends. So they stank.
They smelled like cabbage.
Whatever. They smelled like leftovers. Okay. They smelled bad to me. It's istophobic to say, so I'm not going to get specific. The thing would be like, here's the thing. I could be probably impugned for being intolerant, but there was a roommate who was just so different from me, and I didn't try to do anything about it. I didn't try to leave, and neither did they. And we ended up getting into like a really bad fist fight where like there was some problems with, both of us staying in school, and we had to sort of touch gloves and agree not to go any further with our disagreement, which was maybe one of the first steps on, Admiral Teague being, a little more of a fucking adult and not an infant, like I think that Ainsley handled this better than me. She said, I can't live with this person. Like when this person was a douchebag, I should have left. Long story short, my next roommate was an exchange student from South America named Raul. He was like 26 years old. He just didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm going to finish school here and start my own painting corporation. And that guy is still doing great. And he just had the best attitude. And he was like, I will only be in the room on certain nights. If my necktie is on the door, do not come in. I will be with my girlfriend, Stacy. He was awesome. I am from Lima, Peru. He was so cool. But you like sometimes roommates don't work out. She was a bitch for not fixing this. Okay, so Crim on balls in your court.
So your roommate's girlfriend was his other sock.
She was nice. She was a nice person too, but it was the bad roommate thing that was more important. Like I ended up getting into like a fist fight as an adult, which could have criminal consequences on state territory in New York, University of New York.
Were these multicolored socks?
I don't know. Is the roommate actor male, Germ? Is that what you're trying to say? So the character's referred to as she, but they got a male character to play it. So Taylor Sheridan is leaning fully into this.
It's legally used to be a guy.
Okay. So this is a transition person. We respect the actress's pronouns. The character, we're not sure of what they're doing, but Taylor Sheridan leaning fully into some lighthearted but social commentary trolling here. This was, to me, I enjoyed this, and it touched a little bit of the Star Trek fan in me. What was social commentary done well, except this kind of like screaming and directness is not very Star Trek, or at least not very classic Star Trek. So Angela just basically tells her, this is what you're going to say. She makes a call on speakerphone. She pulls a few strings with her rich friends. She drops an address where Ainsley's going to move. That's the end of it. They go to this dorm room. Angela and Ainsley continue to treat the person really nice. And even the usually aggressive Angela, she's like, yeah, it's not working out here, so bye. I hope everything works out for you. I wish you the best. We're going to the hotel and, we're going to go to the pool. And, I invited everybody, but no, I'm not going to invite you if you don't mind. And she's like, well, I wouldn't want to go anyway. What would I really miss? And Angela has the best line. She goes, oh, a chance to make a friend. And you see that like lands on this person. And as Angela did not go full Angela, like, is this an arc? I don't know. Was this a moment of growth for Angela and Ainsley where they dealt with someone who was different from them without freaking out, but without backing down either? They were true to their beliefs. I throw this one to the panel. Let's start with Radioactive. Tell me what you thought about Angela and Ainsley's way of handling Pagan.
Oh, well, it wasn't what I was expecting, actually, but it worked.
It did fake me out. I thought she was going there to lose it.
Now, the interesting thing is, I think if I recall, well, at least back when I was in school anyway, but I don't think freshmen could actually live off campus, but I could be wrong on that.
It's not school time yet.
Well, that's true. It's in this case, it's not school yet, but I think they were going to get her an apartment right after.
They're going to get her an apartment after this. You can live off campus in New York State. I don't know about TC. It's such an expensive private school. I don't know if they're going to nail that a lot. I don't know how mean they can be for it's something like $100,000 or $150,000 a semester. It's $300,000 a year. Yeah, think about what 4-year ride for your kid is. When your kid fails, you have a major meltdown because you can't make the payment on your yacht. You're going to be there an extra year. It's like, no, I have to find a way to structurally repay off the loan on the yacht. You dick. It's like, I'm going to have to take a tax write-off on the oil well now. But I mean, this is their lifestyle. They burn through money like crazy, and Angela's just going to throw money at this problem. She gets her a luxury apartment somewhere else and has a party for all the cheerleaders, and we get to see a bunch of cheerleaders in bathing suits. That'll happen in a moment. We're in New Orleans now. We're down by the Mississippi Delta, and we're going to watch this marine oil silo. What are they called? Radioactive?
Oh, what? The oil silos?
The marine oil silos, yeah. I know they're called tags.
Oh.
But this is a drilling rig of some kind. What exactly is this thing called? What we're going a marine oil derrick? I don't know. An oil well?
Well, it's a barge, actually, is what the one they're showing there in the show is a barge. It's not really. I think that's just the support.
It looks a lot like the paddle wheel boat from Tom Sawyer Island took a U-boat tattoo to the ass. It was kind of. It was hard to tell what it was, and a lot of it was below the waterline. Something big was being transversed through that lock that day, and they're like, "This is our rig. Just pretend.
Yeah, well, the script, the way they're talking, they make it sound like a rig, but that can't be the rig. You can tell.
Okay.
I mean, the rig would.
I don't know how many. That was what went through my mind. It's like, are they pumping out so many, offshore oil wells that you can go to any given day and film one going past, or is this just an approximation for our eyes?
I think it's just an approximation for our eyes because they're not going to be getting anything other than that for their show. I mean, let's face it, the actual
this is a little impossible without CGI. It's like 5 stories high. You sink a concrete case on to the bottom of the Gulf, if I'm correct, and then you start drilling. something more or less like that. Whatever it is sort of sinks itself, correct? It stands up on end and sinks, and then you pump it full of like ballast, and then you build your oil well deck on top, and then you start drilling, correct?
Well, I'm not an expert on how they're
and
doing
there's different
that,
kinds.
But well, I mean, you've got the, you have those things like the one you see like in the movie Deep, what is it called?
Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah. So that one, those are like probably $1 billion or more a pop for something.
This is supposed to be like a quarter-size version of that, was the way the show has been painting this. Anyone else feel that way? That's why I keep calling it the shallow water horizon.
Well, it may be. I think they have a disconnect though, because at first it sounded like where they were drilling originally was deep water. The other episode we watched earlier,
the impression I got was the well was very deep, but maybe the water wasn't. Like they had to go down much further than they thought. That conversation, to be fair, was a while ago and confusing.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's just say whatever they're doing, they're just, as far as the show is concerned, you've got the quote unquote rig, even though it's really a barge, and that's what they're hauling out there. But to be fair, it could be support infrastructure that they need for doing the drilling anyway. So
this ceremony is to confirm for the other insurance company and I guess a few MTEX investors that the company is still very much in business. And Andy Garcia is there because he's just not there. I don't know what to tell you about this one. His presence there, I guess he's a pretty big time partner in this, but he's an antagonistic presence. And we segue back for a moment to, do we have the penultimate conversation yet with, hold on a second, let me just check something. Okay, yeah, we are going to go back and have Cammy talk to Tommy. All right, so meanwhile, back at the rent house, here she is. It's the beautiful Cheyenne. And she's here to give physical therapy to Sam Elliott in a storyline that is not quite as tasteless as we thought we were going to end up with when he was flirting with Shelby. And she's like, get on up and get on out there. We're going to do our physical therapy. And she's got a positive attitude and she's happy and she jokes around with him and she brings like some good energy with her, for lack of a better feeling. And if anything, like Thomas is not either cynical or optimistic. It's like he has been off the charger for so long that he has no disposition on anything. Things just happen. Sometimes he likes to watch them occur. The sun's going to set. Maybe I'll watch that. There are horses out back. I will look at them. Aside from that, Thomas is like, he's down to like 5% energy. Am I right? You could send like one last text off Thomas and that's it. So she's kind of bringing him like a burst of energy, like putting him on the charger, getting him back up to 1/4 bar because the battery's real old. That's as good as it gets. But he is like, has the best one-liner here. It's like, this is the weirdest town I've ever lived in. And the Cheyenne story gets interrupted when we step back to the bayou. But let's go back and show beautiful Cheyenne. Guys, what did you think of the Cheyenne and Sam Elliott storyline, the Thomas storyline for this episode? At least this part of it. I was like, my feeling was like she was throwing herself into this much more than she really even needed to. And part of it might be that she likes Sam Elliott. And part of it might be that in his cynicism, he, like Tommy, planted a seed of a sustainable career that maybe she will become an actual physical therapist or something. Because she has the outlook for it. She's a nice person, despite the fact that she's a stripper in her other career. She's taken this fairly seriously. Germ.
Well, that's good for TL to have something to do for this episode. Developing their relationship is maybe tertiary for everything else, but it's nice to see Sam Elliott have something to do.
It's nice to see Cheyenne in her bikini. Cheyenne looks great.
That too, obviously.
Let's throw it down the other end of the field and see Radioactive. What did you think of this sequence where we've got Cheyenne showing up and showing the kind of energy that she's going to consistently bring to this? And it's like, she's anything but the dead-eyed stripper who's working you for more cash. She's not like being greedy at all. She's being kind of generous with her abilities and like her time.
Well, I actually think by the time you get to the end of the scene, I'm wondering if they're not setting this up as kind of like a father-daughter relationship or granddaughter relationship, because didn't he and his wife lost one of their children, right? Because Billy Bob's character is supposed to have a daughter, right?
Billy Bob's father had a daughter.
Yeah.
Billy Bob's supposed to have a sister.
Well, yeah, Billy Bob would have had a sister and then
she died before he was born. I would assume while his mother was pregnant with him, because that's when she cuts the old man off and is mean to him for the rest of her life.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that somehow he's connecting to her that way.
So that is Dorothy, this crazy woman we buried in episode 4. So he's seeing her as either the daughter that he was going to have with Dorothy, the crazy woman who died in episode 4.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think Sam Elliott is going to help kind of redeem this woman to a more sustainable career. I honestly feel that's the path.
Yeah, I would assume that's the way they're going to write this going into if they keep her character around for season 3, that's the way they do it. They won't go as some tawdry.
Oh, this is my new coffee lady. I want them to keep this character.
Yeah, I would assume they're not going to go in some way tawdry with the interaction between these two. So
something tells me that they had tried it and filmed it, and then they themselves watched it, and somewhere along the line, people were like, "It's terrible. It doesn't work." And the pirate dinner is the episode that was most chopped up. This episode shows the least signs of repairs. It shows signs more of being filmed. This episode shows less signs of sutures than it shows either making some episodic elements that you're going to be able to use no matter when. Maybe some recutting, and I don't know. Like we've been afraid to really have any woman be too mean since that the spaghetti throwing topped it off. But we took some shots at some woke people. Now we're showing that this stripper with the heart of gold storyline is viable, and we see the oil derrick go by, and Bonehead Charlie is on it, the Australian. He's going to handle this. Cammy shows up with her presidential motorcade. And Billy Bob, there's something in the air. Ainsley and Angela, they're at the pool. And they have this cool conversation about Pagan. And Angela is not overly punitive or overly mean or overly unrealistic. In fact, you could say forgiving. This is him, not really walking a thin line. He's thrown down. Taylor Sheridan has thrown down. He thinks woke is bullshit. He thinks The View is bullshit. And apparently, by extension, is saying that he thinks Disney and their style of storytelling is bullshit. He's kind of saying, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be authentic. Fuck you. And he's taken some swipes at the critics who attacked this show, or at least the political perspective that this show was attacked from. As a fan of the show with no political, dog in the hunt that much, I felt like I was very much behind Taylor Sheridan and giving it back to the people who needlessly criticized this show that was simply an exposition about what it was like to be rich and horrible. And I was pretty satisfied watching these horrible people every week. I didn't necessarily need to have them pull into this full reverse with Angela. I do think that some of the scenes were poorly conceived. And our own show's numbers show it. 10,000 views for the first episode of season 2, 7,000 views for the second episode, and the third episode, it's 200 views, 300 views. And after that, that's how high it goes. It was in episode 2 or 3 that something happened that nobody could deal with. I think it was too much cringe at the old folks home. Right after that, the next time we see the old folks, our front line of old folks are different, and we only see our established old folks in wider shots, as though they had filmed one old folks story and gotten rid of it and kind of tried to defang it as much as they could. and filmed again with other old folks with Angela's birthday and other weird stuff like that. Angela's fake birthday party and other weird stuff like that. But they have this conversation, which could be called like, what is it about bitter woke people? And what is it about people who don't want to be happy? And Angela's like, some people just aren't happy unless they're unhappy. And I just thought this was very pragmatic, very real world, very relatable. And I didn't find it not interesting in the least. First of all, I'm happy to see beautiful women in bikinis. And if you're going to make your social statement about how people shouldn't be woke, this seems pretty calculated to me. 2 women in bikinis putting down modern TV and modern outlooks. I loved every minute of it. Let's go to Charm.
Yeah, it was a good rundown of what wokeness is, and
a fuck you to it too.
He was a little less mean than I thought he could be.
The thing is, he has to exist in Hollywood, but he's made a statement. I'm my own guy. I'm going to play by my own rules. Fuck you. Because, by the way, this whole confrontation or whatever you want to call it, they never got angry or yelled at the woke person the way you would yell at anyone else. They didn't demonize them. They just said that they were an angry, empty person and left it at that and moved on. And these people, we're left to judge them on their merits. They're very imperfect. Anyone they dislike, Taylor Sheridan, could be like, well, look where it's coming from. You know, this activist type person hates like rich, privileged white people. So like, you know, what we're seeing is, you know, a real world kind of interaction. And this had to have been filmed at least a week or 2 ago to be ready for TV. And for, like, I'll say it again, for the woke person to be from Minnesota and it to hit TV this week, this was an amazing coincidence for Taylor Sheridan, where it was just relevant enough, and let's not get too relevant, but this was just relevant enough without being on the nose, wasn't it? Accidentally, really perfect timing, Germ.
Let's be honest, Minnesota has had that rep for quite a while now, not just the last week or 2.
I realize that, but there's not ongoing constant incidents. It's been several years since the last one. You know, like he got like.
Oh no, we've had a constant incident since they have the malfunctioning governor in there.
Let's just go within the context of the show while I still agree with you. Go ahead.
But yeah, Minnesota's pretty much the stereotype for that stuff at this point.
I thought it was very good for the show to seem topical and very good for the Taylor Sheridan writing staff to seem like they know what's going on in the world. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I would too. She's preggers now, and she's gonna have the baby in like 3 months. So I think she's showing. But like when Karen Levitt gets that baby, you know, here and gets whipped back into shape, can she be one of them? I was kind of getting into her for a while there. Like I was watching all the press conferences because I was amazed by the thing that on either side of that cross she wears. Let's just put it that way. She's hot. What did you guys think? So Radioactive, let's go to you. The way they handled the woke person, fairly compassionate, and it ends up being timely but not heavy-handed. What did you think about what seems to be a coincidence here?
They handled it diplomatically. Let's put it that way.
They were never going to be in trouble with this one because they didn't choose to castigate or cast out the other person. They're like, you're not like us. You do your thing. You want to meditate. You don't like music. You don't like dancing. We're not going to invite you to go out dancing where there's music. Well, you know, see you later. We're not going to be roommates either. Bye. And they left it at that. And we saw this other person was just a bitter douche. And so I get the best revenge is living well. I thought that they could have gone a lot farther castigating the character, but they didn't want to. They proved their point. Here they are having fun. That person's back at campus in their noise reduction headphones, not listening to music. Cribwad, your thoughts on their final disposition on the weird woke roommate?
I honestly think it could have gone a lot further south, and I'm kind of surprised on how
it was measured.
Yeah. I'm just very surprised on how they handled it.
It was written as well as the windmill thing, where they go through various forms of how to use energy versus petrochemical versus alternative energy versus nuclear. And Billy Bob like gives equal merit and then equal criticism to each, voicing the most accepted and popular criticisms of all forms of energy, but then throwing down solidly with a pragmatic takeaways like, all I know is when we run out of it, there's going to be nothing but hell to pay. And there's been a few incidences with oil on the seas the last few weeks. So this show seems like it really was like maybe more topical than we even thought. So everybody enjoyed the woke storyline. I'll just ask this: does anybody want to see the woke person again for a little more comeuppance and stuff? Yeah, he does. Actually, he does. Yes. Does anyone want the woke person back for some more fun like this? I thought this was much better than Old Folks Home fun. Do this again.
It'd have been funnier for later on. They're out there, having fun, and you see the woke person on the other side of the fence just staring through.
I think we'll find a way to get to that, but I thought that they.
I was going to say they'll be looking through the fence and they'll have that look that that Pyle has in Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah. What do you say? My gun's name is Luann, sir.
They're eating meat.
They'll be going, "Hello, Ansley."
Yeah, Ainsley's gonna run to this person again in the cafeteria, and I can't wait. Personally, I can't wait. I would like the woke person back because this is a much better way to make them fun and funny than to have them gambling and playing with sex toys with the old people. Am I right?
I don't think it's as believable of a vegan. I didn't hear the fact that she was proclaiming herself as a vegan even harder.
She did. She went after the Ainsley's shoes. She goes, I think those are cowhide. And she goes, oh no, they're like, Louis Vuitton.
Well, she should have mentioned it. She was a vegan at least 3 or 4 more times. It didn't go as hard as they should have gone because
she was pushing on other agendas. But yeah, okay, yeah, she didn't have her identity built around that one super woke aspect or so, right?
Every vegan I've ever been around, that's all I ever hear.
Ainsley and Angela.
Well, if they're not saying it every other
5 seconds,
they're not real vegans.
And you're right about that. So at any rate, Ainsley and Angela have this conversation at the pool, and life's going to be just great. It's going to be expensive, but it's be great. Back at the cotillion, or whatever you want to call it, the garden party in the temporary gazebo on the golf course where Monty was wheezing for breath in episode 2 of season 1, we've got Cammy and all principals from MTEX are involved, and all the investors are there, and they're going to see this oil derrick go by. And here's Hammerhead Charlie. He's hanging out in on the oil apparatus. And Dale goes, I'm here for the moral support and the food. And this seems like it was filmed before we gave Nathan/Neil the heel turn to be sort of an unreasonable dick, because he's fun and funny and homespun again in this sequence where he acts more like Dale than he's been acting than he acts like his Neil alter ego. I hereby designate when Nathan acts like a dick, he's being Neil. I think we can now accept the show's designation of that. He was back to being Nathan in this one. Anybody?
No, he's always pretty nice, unless he's talking to Rebecca.
He was bizarrely aggressive with no cards to play, and that I need you to sign this release. And she was like needlessly disarmed and compliant. That didn't make sense.
I forgot, who's Nathan again?
Nathan is the guy in the white cowboy hat. It's Colin Fior.
Oh, I only know him as Neil.
Yeah,
they prefer the Underverse. That's where you identify him.
Yes,
his real name is Nathan. His real name is Colin Fior. The character's name is Nathan. Angela dead names him because she doesn't like him. When he does things that she approves of, she calls him by his actual name. But when he becomes annoying, she calls him Neil. And he was being a little bit of a Neil last week. Herbert, whatever. So they are there for the lols and the memes. Here comes their apparatus. like I said, it looks like somebody, like a U-boat attacked the paddle boat from Disneyland. It's beat to shit or whatever. Most of it's underwater. And Cammy's like, Tommy, let's have a little talk. And he's like, before we have this little talk, I need to go over again why this is all a terrible idea. And she's like, don't you think it's kind of a good idea? And he's like, no, I think it's a terrible idea. And she's like, I am but now beginning to understand like the rush of being like an oil speculator. And like, I love this whole wildcat thrill. And now I know like why Monty built this company. And Tommy's like, this company killed Monty. And Cammy counters with, this company kept Monty alive. And it sounds a little unhinged. And he's like, this is a high risk, very dangerous, ill-advised and bad idea. And she's like, yep. And that's why you're fired. And she puts on her deal with it sunglasses. And that's the end of his fucking career. You fucking idiot. You can't keep telling your boss over and over and over you fundamentally disagree with every aspect of the company's operation. It wasn't like he was offering these as alternatives. He was really pushing the doom and gloom too hard. And although Demi Moore is not in her right mind, someone in their right mind probably would have fired him too. Jerem, what do you think?
She is acting impulsively, and I think Andy Garcia may be behind it. We'll find out.
It's going to come back to bite her. I guarantee it.
Yeah. He's the only one talking sense to her, trying to counter anything she says. And
right. For all his charm, Andy Garcia could kidnap Angela and Cammy tomorrow and like torture him. He's crazy.
Yeah. She knowingly went into business with the Sicario. Tommy tried to warn her. At some level, I'd think he would have grounds to legally appeal her decision on basis of she's not in her right mind.
Oh, I would also say, you know what, bitch, I'm out of here, but you're giving me 6 months severance, or I'm going to tell people how crazy you are. I could get a job landman in somewhere else. No one wants to do it, and it's in demand. I know this patch like the back of my hand. There's like 5 other major oil companies in them. They have like 6 and 7 landmen each because we have the smallest piece of the patch. It's just the most productive.
I did find my new Alex.
Who is it?
Demi Moore's character.
Cammy is the new Alex. Oh, no. In her "you're fired" moment. I love when she fires him and just throws on the deal with it sunglasses and walks away. It was fucking classic.
Oh, she thought she was shit right there.
I agreed with her statement that I will not have a president of my company who doesn't second guess me in good faith, but doom and glooms nonstop the entire time. I've said several times the decision's been made, and I've made it clear that I'm going to run this company I own. And if you can't let me do that, you've got to go. He wasn't insubordinate, and he was banking on their friendship meaning more, but she is now more about keeping this company alive to keep Monty alive, which makes me feel like some kind of affair with Galito is out of the question. I think the deal is, like I said, a lot of people, everyone, no one but Tommy realizes that Galino might just grab these women, tie them up somewhere, and turn on his iPhone and be like, you're going to start putting money in the bank, or this razor blade's going to start doing things.
I don't think they're going that route, Teague. I do think, though, they're setting up.
They probably aren't, but that is a real jeopardy with Galino, is what I'm saying. He's so dangerous, and she doesn't know it. I don't know how to play, whether her decision was competent.
He's
it was
more
passionate.
like he's con. He's not going to do the dirty work. He's going to let somebody else do the dirty work.
Besides, he has it rigged up so that he wins no matter what.
Exactly. And
I like Buddy's theory here.
Well, who's going to be the president of the company now? I think I know who I'm putting my money on.
It's gonna be Cooper.
Rebecca,
girl power. We're gonna girl power this one right into like the Force Awakens territory of dumb.
No, she's gonna be fired next because you said that they were gonna set her up with the whole thing, the sleeping with that dude thing, where he tried to Nathan tried, or Neil, whatever.
Neil.
his name is.
I would, by the way, I just want to be honest. I would make Dale LANDMAN and move Boss up to Dale's job.
No, see, Teague, here's the way I see this. So Tommy gets fired for now, right?
Yeah, it had a for now feeling.
And then Rebecca is since she's a VP, she's moved up to the presidency. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. This thing starts to go down the tubes. Charlie says, no, the oil's there. I swear it is. Cammy gets desperate, brings Tommy back to save the company. That's how this is going to go down. That's what I
Good
see.
shot right here.
That is true. That is a good shot. That's an excellent cinematic moment.
Super pair.
It's very cinematic.
It is. You know what? This chick was hot, and she brought some fun energy. Biscotonic agrees. She brought some fun energy with her to the episode. She is a less creepy presence than Shelby, who's just too young. And let's face it, what is Thomas like? Thomas's life has been hanging out with fast women, driving fast cars, and like doing fast time stuff, man. Like, this guy has lived like 5 lifetimes. Oh, Radioactive dropped out there for a moment. We don't know what's going on. He'll be back in a moment. I did not kick him. If he had said that he thought the woke person deserved better treatment, I would have kicked him. But we end the patch, and Ariana goes out for her non-smoking smoke break. She's got to make a couple phone calls. She's talking. Germ, was this Spanish?
I believe so.
Or was it Mexican?
Either or.
She's speaking Spanish or Mexican. We're not sure, but she's talking to somebody, and all of a sudden, out of the darkness comes douchebag from 2 episodes back who tried to proposition her. And this guy is just, here we go. Our friend Radioactive has returned to us.
Something
Radioactive, we made it to the Patch Cafe.
Oh, sorry. What again?
We made it back to the Patch Cafe.
The patch. Are we at the patch now?
We're at the Patch Cafe. Ariana taking her non-smoking smoking break. This douchebag from 2 episodes back shows up again, and he's like, you wouldn't take my money to do stuff with me, so now I'm going to beat you down and take it for free because I am a dick. And he is a dick. He was a dick last time we saw him. They put in enough work to make him a dick. He got a dick's deserved bouncing from this bar. And Ariana and him start fighting. And for a moment, she's getting the better of him out of pure aggression. But then he just leans in there with his man strength and starts fucking her up. I liked the fight because it gave me a visceral reaction every time. Honestly, I didn't realize that I was capable of this. I was a little bit afraid for Ariana when I watched every time. I thought it was a really good choreographed fight. She hits the ground hard a couple of times. I thought the fight showed us a little bit about everyone involved, the way she fought back. And then, of course, the realism coming in where she initially gets in a few shots and messes this guy up and sends him back a few feet while he's adjusting. And then he just starts like landing solid shots and takes her the hell down because he's a dude and she's a woman. And Cooper ends up, we leave her with her clothes being torn from her by this piece of garbage. And we step back inside. I'm thinking we rewound time. These things are happening at the same time. Because when he gets out, it's going to be the moment that we cut away, I think. Because things are like getting very close to being terrible out there. Cooper walks in. He approaches Barney. He says, I'm Ariana's boyfriend. I'm Ariana's fiance. And he's like, yeah, people come in and ask for Ariana all the time because she's fucking hot. You're going to have to do a little better than that. He makes Cooper show him a picture of him and Ariana. And he's like, oh, shit. She's your girl. She's your fiance. Well, congratulations. She's a nice girl. She's outside. And Barney's just as nice as he always is. This is one of the unambiguously good characters throughout the run of 19 episodes, and he stays good here. Young Anakin goes outside. Young land boy goes outside, and he sees the guy being improper to Ariana, and he doesn't hurt him just a little. Let's see if I can get the moment of confrontation between Land Boy and Douche Guy. As you can see, it's bad. And then Cooper just starts beating him. He straight arms him. He throws him to the ground. He starts punching him in the face. I counted 30 straight punches to the face. I don't know if that would be fatal. I'd say potentially. Cooper not exactly paying any attention to the duty to retreat. Then again, he's so angry no jury would convict him. This was a justified beating. This piece of garbage had it coming. It was a satisfying fight. Miskatonic, let's see what he says. The scene seemed unnecessary unless they wanted to show that Cooper can protect her or set Cooper up to get in trouble if the dude dies later. Yeah, I don't think he's too close to dying because he was talking and stuff, but
I do think Miskatonic makes a very valid point here, though, on the second part there. I think that's exactly what they're setting up. That was my impression anyway.
It's like he got dizzy and passed out an hour after we brought him in and never woke up again.
Well,
Cooper.
Okay, so when you see in their editing of the scene, so there's the scene where they show it kind of like live action, but then they show the scene from the closed circuit camera, which is focused down behind the patch. And they're doing that deliberately because I do think
because it is going to court.
Yep, that's what's going to happen. So he's going to end up going to court. Something's going to happen. Whether the guy dies or not, we don't know yet. But I think Miskatonic hit the nail on the head on that one. That's what they're setting up for season 3.
We're not getting out of this clean. There is going to be a trial. There's evidence of him harassing her, and he's banned from this place. It's trespassing. So we would think he would lose, but when the fight ends, what I thought deserved mention was, okay, so this guy's all effed up because he's a piece of garbage. Here's the surveillance cam we were talking about with all the surveillance cam information and stuff. But what I thought was cool about this was he's still a Chad. Barney doesn't say what a lot of bar owners might say. It's like, all right, you busted up his whole face. He didn't pull anything actually off. I don't want my establishment to have a bad reputation. Let's just forget this whole thing now, and this guy never comes back ever again. And if you see him somewhere else, you can do whatever you want, but not here. And, we're just going to end this right now. You got the better of him. Instead, he's like,
Barney's
you piece of crap. Yeah, Barney's like, you're a piece of crap and you're going to jail. And I was like, way to go, Barney.
He deals with something like this once a week.
But the thing is, he doesn't. Does he deal with it by sweeping it under the rug, or does he deal with it by being honorable? And he's honorable again. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like an honorable male character being a protector. We got 2 honorable men being a protector here, outnumbering the one dishonorable man. Protecting a woman who was strong, but not as strong as a man. I mean, Ariana is strong enough for a man, but she's made like a woman. She's not going to beat up a dude. And this show was like, this seemed like an intentional statement too about wokeism and like the kind of crazy ideas that someone like Pagan might have about how to deal with this. Like run away was the option. Ariana couldn't run away, so she fought. It was the only other thing she could do. But they pull her away, and Ariana freaks out, and she kicks him while he's down a couple of times, and Cooper's comforting her, and he's sufficiently nice, and he's like, you keep an eye on him. You make sure you go outside and wait for the cops. You're a fucking piece of garbage. And the episode ends. I think some of this episode, quite honestly, was filmed to be used when needed. I don't think they had a firm plan for every single segment of this episode. And Jerm, there was something about the fight. You said that you thought that Tommy being fired was an episode ending, and that the fight was supposed to be the season finale. Was your best guess, or am I wrong?
That was my original guess. Yeah.
How do you feel now? You've been a great forecaster. Give us your forecast. We're going to make predictions. Then we're going to give our grades.
I'm not sure why they moved it up an episode. There must be something they wanted to sneak in before the end of the season that required it. So I'm not sure. But originally, I think the Tommy being fired was the end for this episode. That makes a lot more sense.
It does make a lot more sense.
You mean for the season, right?
No, for this episode, and then They deal
The
with
fight
his
might have been the end of
firing
the season
in
is
10, and then
Thursday.
the fight is the end of the season. So they have something jumping into like a hook for season 3. So I think they just invented something after the fact that they needed to put in for episode 10. That's why they may have moved it up. They may have found out that they can't get Demi Moore back or something like that, or they can't get Andy Garcia back, which wouldn't be great, but that's the most logical thing I could come up with that they'd have to sneak in.
There's been at least one Andy Garcia appearance that happened because it didn't not happen, to be honest with everybody. I have my own theory on this one. We'll indulge our theories. My theory on this one is that this is the last of what they had, with a little bit of what they're going to add on to finish off the show. That they left some of the show unfilmed, wondering what was going to happen, or they started filming some corrective stuff right around the time of episode 3. And by the time of the pirate dinner, they had cannibalized like 3 episodes down into 1.5. Then we got those 2 short episodes right after it. And now this is stuff that's been filmed or fixed or was from the original filming that still fits. They had enough time to film a less like messy end, and they're going to try to bring this down in a decent season but not series ending episode 10, because our episode 10 stakes changed when we got renewed for season 3. So I don't know exactly what will happen, but that's my theory. I think that in our final episode, probably 30% of it was stuff they filmed ahead of time, and 60 to 70% of it will be things that were filmed correctively since they had the problem. But that's my theory. Anyone else have any theories on what's been going on leading up until this new, stronger episode from the last 3 or 4, but still maybe not fantastic? Gentlemen, indulge yourselves.
I got a radical theory. I think season 2 will end.
Then there is water at the bottom of the ocean. Yes, season 2 will end. For all we know, whatever they decide to do with the time frame at the end of season 2, when for our last episode, it could cover weeks or days or hours. We just don't know. For all we know, all that's going to happen is Tommy's going to rent a car and drive back to Midland to be like, well, we ain't got no income no more. And things could change between the time he leaves and the time he gets back home. Who knows? How Ainsley's going to continue in school with her father having no goddamn job anymore, beyond me. Do they all borrow the money from Ariana? I don't know. But okay. Let's give
maybe Ainsley has to get an actual like job to put herself through school.
What about the MacGuffin?
Wow.
What about the MacGuffin that she got?
Thank you for reminding me. Ainsley last season was given an envelope from her stepfather that has never been opened. And also there's the MacGuffin of the truck and the car accident, which we never revisited. And that would be one thing if it wasn't a really weird car accident with a self-deletion and it wasn't painstakingly talked about for like 12 minutes in one episode. We walked the entire crash site and talked about it. And talked about the need to put up like speeding signs and like speed enforced by radar signs and other crap like that. The most now meaningless conversation ever. I think this episode had some old stuff and some new damage control. I really do. It could crash. I don't know. Let's give this episode our grades though, and then we'll talk about the season and what we think will happen in the finale. So let's start with Radioactive, A through F. What do you give this episode of Landman?
Well, I'm going to go with an A on it. I'm being an easy grader, I know.
All right, back it up a little.
I thought that the overall story for this episode flowed pretty well. I mean, obviously they had like 3 different stories, but they did pretty decent editing, I thought, of rolling them through each of the different kind of subplots going on in the episode. And I thought that the end, well, I think they handled the woke issue pretty well, and gave
uncanny timing there, huh?
Yeah, well, they gave us a feeling for how colleges actually run, kind of, sort of, at least from the administrative side. And it's not very flattering for colleges either, but I think they gave us a kind of a curveball there at the end of the episode with Tommy and Cammy, but it was somewhat predicted by Andy Garcia. I mean, Andy Garcia did warn Tommy, goes, she's
going to get caught up in this shit and outgrow your caution. Yeah, he did warn him.
So overall, I think it was pretty good. That's just my take, but it was a completely watchable episode this week.
Miskatonic says too much filler. The only thing of consequence happening, Tommy getting fired. I thought maybe Ainsley showing a little more poise instead of freaking out and crying, and Angela being more pragmatic than insane was a little bit of event, but B+ is fair and still a good grade. Krimlon, your thoughts on this episode? Is it episode 9? And was it a good episode 9? And looking forward to 10. And what grade are you giving it? Any moment, stay with you.
Oh, I'm gonna give it a B. I didn't really care too much for some of the pacing. I didn't like the choppiness, like between how different scenes went all over the place.
That's becoming a Taylor Sheridan feature, is a little bit of pacing problems, huh?
I just didn't really. I don't know. It didn't feel right to me. I didn't like it. It just kind of felt like it was just last second put together, and too much randomness just happened at the end, which doesn't fit the whole storyline of LANDMAN. So it just kind of felt off.
Fair enough. That's a good enough conclusion. So B, let's go to Resolute Germ. Resolute Germ, what grade do you give this episode? And guys, the phone's live.
Okay.
All
the storylines are coming through the way they should. They're not really interwoven, so that's why it's not an A+. But I have faith that the last episode of the season will bring everything together and set up season 3 quite well.
I also am going to give this one an A. I'm going to give it an A-. Here's the reason why I'm giving it an A, though. I am watching it with the idea in my mind that this is, in fact, damage control, and that this is, in fact, new stuff that's been filmed, and that they changed direction on the female characters. But I'm also going to say it didn't go that badly. It was still mostly interesting while they changed directions. They didn't do an about face on the show. Some of the character changes were things that the characters needed. Like Rebecca was one-dimensional with her only superpower being to be a bitch. So like they had to soften her up and get her drunk and have her have fun. They had to back off from the old folks home story, which has now been absent for a couple of episodes. No one's missing it. Sam Elliott's storyline, he has a certain gravitas. I don't know if this storyline is going to be the greatest with the exotic dance with the heart of gold, but it does seem like it's a fitting way that a weirdo like LANDMAN and a weirdo like Thomas would be able to figure out a way to get someone that eccentric to accept any exercise at all. And so that's that with that one. Not a lot of Michelob Light product placement in this one, but you know what? It was still a pretty good episode all in all. A- because of active damage repairs on the fly. I don't know what will happen in episode 10. I know that we probably will have to have it only cover the time frame of a day or two, because the fallout from Tommy losing his job has to last till next season, I'm guessing. To hire him back would be tomorrow would be crazy. You know, like you gotta like, unless Kami's just gonna call him up and be like, "Oh, I was a little hasty," but that was a pretty cold, hasty firing. So I don't know.
No,
So
he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay outside the company for at least, I'd say, the first 3 episodes of season 3.
yeah, it would be if he was back right away. It would be like it would have to be like, you know, the opening segment would have to be like some sort of disaster, and then
They
like
have
the
to
phone
give
rings,
Rebecca a
like Tommy, only you can fix it.
They have to give Rebecca a chance to screw up the company in the press.
That is true.
I'm telling you, I think that's what they're going to do. That's my money.
I agree, but I think it's
she
going to
can
happen
screw it
quite
up
quickly.
fairly quick. She's already screwing it up so far. I think it won't even take an episode to screw it up to the point where she'll be calling him back.
Yeah, I think they're going
to live. Go ahead.
They're going to fast forward to that 6 months point where they know if that drilling is a boom or a bust. It's going to end up being a bust, and they're going to have to bring Tommy back in.
Yep.
I think we'll be minutes away from finding out that it's going to work out or not when we come back.
This is Tommy's Admiral Kirk moment. Right?
He
goes, all I wanted to do was be a landman.
Yeah. We offered the world oil. You know what? I don't know if Tommy's married anymore. He has no income. His wife,
she's gonna leave.
I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. She could be out the door. She spent like $90,000 in this fucking episode. She spent no less than $20,000 in every episode, except for the one where she won $130,000 or whatever she won. Hey, JT, look who's out there with a very generous, very non-controversial United States and soon-to-be Greenlandian dollars. What do we have here? A LANDMAN stream. Last time I ran into some guys who excavated the earth, they deleted an entire planet and romantically wanted a Vulcan on the crew. Woo! The Kelvin homework. JT and I both did the Kelvin marathon to get ready for that. Germ, did you do a Kelvin marathon or did you just watch Beyond?
I could only get through Beyond.
Did you feel a sense of gratitude that was the only movie you were assigned, having seen the other ones at least once?
A little bit, but there is no way.
It's a lot better than the other ones. It's just still pieces. The other ones are so terrible, right?
They're still better than Discovery.
We've been doing this for our LANDMAN panel for the last couple of weeks. We didn't do it last time, but since we did cover major Star Trek stuff, I will ask my LANDMAN guys, out of the ugly movies of Star Trek's 10 through 13, so 09, Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond, was there one you liked the most? Was there one you hated the most? And what did you think of them in general? Let's start with Krimlon. And thank you, JT Kirk.
Oh god. Out of those ones, oof.
You can say that they were all horrible, and you have complete autonomy here.
That's a good question. I mean, they weren't all the greatest, to be honest. I never really considered them Star Trek films, but the one that was the closest to it would be Beyond.
Yep,
and that's
by a lot.
And
it's not a good story. It's just the characters act like they're supposed to. I keep saying that,
except for one specific one. That
one moment with Gay Sulu that. But for George Takei to denounce that is so awesome. Yeah, JT Kirk is wishing you well.
Yes.
Did you have a least? Was there a villain you thought was the worst or the best? I think Kral had to be the worst fucking villain.
I'll be honest. I didn't really like any of the.
I'm sorry, Khan. It is a race to the bottom.
They were all bad. All the villains were just garbage.
Fair enough, as will be the villain for Starfleet Academy. Radioactive, my friend. We talked about the Kelvin trilogy of Star Trek movies last night on the Star Trek show. You want to give your feelings about the Star Trek's 10 through 13?
Sir, you're going to ask such a controversial question?
Oh, yes, sir. You can't say that, sir. It's too controversial.
Well, first, I want to cover the bad because you didn't ask us the last week about the bad.
Go ahead, weigh in on TNG.
So I'll rate them real quick. 1 through 4 in that order, in descending order.
Okay, yeah, everyone's a little
Yeah.
less good than the one before.
Yes. And after the first 2, it totally falls off the cliff. But the cannon
It
breaking
falls off a cliff while jumping a shark, doesn't it? It's every bad thing. Oh,
yeah, and then it got sunk into a black hole, which would have been cool if they'd done that like they did in bridging into the Kelvin verse, the black hole that they introduced in that one, the
literal black hole.
Yeah, the portable reusable black hole that comes from red matter that was never explained. The dumbest thing ever.
The black hole gun. And as far as the Kelvin verse, I would say 1, 3, 2.
Okay, yeah, the 2 is ignominious. It's
and
just such a piece
the
of shit.
only reason why I give 1 any credit at all is because, to be honest, the only redeeming quality to it was the fact that they brought in a new crew. How do they do that? How do they have some continuity with the old characters? Well, okay, they have a branching universe. I was okay with that part of it. I know they did. There's other things we could nitpick it, and you guys nitpicked it to death last night. But
that was a good nitpick stream. Only 11 minutes of that stream had to be deleted.
But let's face it, the egregious errors were in darkness because they just totally effed it up. Let's be honest. They just totally effed it up, and it was fixable. That's the worst part. They could have fixed it within their independent timeline and did a reasonable job with it. The biggest thing was they should never have made Cumberbatch Khan. They should have.
No, he should have stayed just some other villain.
He should
maybe even like a Romulan.
He could have been another augment on the ship, and if they'd done it right, they could have set it up as a 2 or 3 movie story arc, which is really what they should have done. And then Khan would have been the very big baddie that they met later on. That's what they should have done.
But we're wrapping up anyway. So, Jerm, what's going on your channel before you go?
Tomorrow we'll finish up the Critters franchise with Critters 4. Then another random round table on Wednesday.
I will be at Critters. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
That's pretty much it for me, too. I'll be back on Tuesday night where possibly Istophobos will be here. I plan on asking him. It's time once again to roll out the This Is How the Rights of Star Trek episode of the Admiral Teague Show, which recurs about every 3 months. Before we say goodbye, I just have anyone who's subbed to the Tachyon Pulse noticed that he's gone live twice since he's been live here. He seems to have a new interest in YouTube. We seem to have pushed him into a larger world. So anyway, good luck to the Tachyon Pulse. And I think our audience has been amazing tonight. I want to thank all of you, especially JT Kirk, for your generous $5 super chat. Viewers like you make Saving Landman possible. I want to thank Buddy, Radioactive, JT. I want to thank Miskatonic. I want to thank Buddy for being a great wrench. Rocco the Brave was in the chat. It was great to talk to Rocco and touch base with him again. We've got John the Beagle Dad, who is here, and Lombardi 69, Crimon here and in the chat. And guys, I love you all. We're looking forward to an episode 10. I'll be back on Tuesday night and Thursday, Starfleet Academy with the Saving Star Trek crew. Oh boy, that's going to be something. This might be my most important mission. We have to somehow get the people through the last bit of terrible Star Trek without them rage quitting Star Trek forever. Because, I mean, they're going to put on some Star Trek. It's, we have a specialist here. Sir, tell us your opinion of the Kelvin timeline and the new Trek shows.
Doesn't anyone see that this is wrong?
Thank you, Mr. Tuvix. Your testimony is noted. Okay.
Incoming Sydney Sweeney video. Set burners to full. Lubrication supply sufficient for projected fapping level. Paper towels to standby. Turbo lift door secured and locked. Wives and girlfriend interruption probability at 12%. You may commence masturbatory actions at any time.
You know, before we go, I don't know what to check on the box that says, does this recording make a real person sound like they're saying something they didn't say? Because quite honestly, it's not a real person. It's supposed to be the voice of the computer. So whatever. Dear Sydney Sweeney, thanks everybody. This one's on me. If you came through loyal and you later and you were really loyal, you deserve to know this. The episode grade: B 50%, A 25%, C 25%, DF 0%. So audience more divided than typically, and we'll see you next time on Landman Live. I'll be back on Tuesday, probably at 10 p.m. Eastern. Bye.
Macroaggressions.
Macroaggressions all around. I'll have the macroaggressions and cheese.